Why you feel tired even when you are doing everything right. Have you ever woke up tired, even after sleeping enough? Not the kind of tiredness that comes from a long day work, not the exhaustion that rest easily fixes, but a deeper kind, a quiet heaviness, a low battery feeling that follows you through the day. You are not burned out. In an obvious way, your life isn't falling apart. You're functioning. You are doing what needs to be done. And that's what makes this tiredness so confusing. Because on the outside, everything looks fine. But inside, something feels consistently depleted. If you have ever thought, I don't understand why I'm so tired when I'm doing everything right, this episode is for you. Because the kind of tiredness you are expecting is not a failure of effort. It's a message. And today we are going to listen to this message. Hello and welcome. I'm Azin and here's Azin is here. Today I'm going to share with you some interesting information. So grab your tea and coffee and stay with me. There is a kind of tiredness that the sleep doesn't touch. You can rest. You can take days off. You can slow your schedule. And still, when you wake up, something feels heavy. Not dramatic, not overwhelming. Just heavy enough to make everything takes effort. Getting out of bed, responding to messages, making decisions, being present with people. This tiredness doesn't escape, it lingers. And because it doesn't look extreme, many people dismiss it. They tell themselves, I shouldn't feel like this. I have no reason to be tired. Other people are managing more than I am. So instead of listening, they push harder and harder and work more. They try to optimize their energy. They look for productivity hacks. They blame motivations. But this tiredness doesn't come from lack of discipline. Listen to me carefully here. It comes from living in a constant stage of internal tension. Many people don't realize how much energy they spend just holding themselves together, monitoring their reactions, regulating their emotions, staying appropriate, staying composed, staying functional. This effort becomes so normal. That's you stop noticing it. But the body never stops noticing. The body keeps track of. Every time you override a signal, every time you say yes when something in you says no, every time you push through when your system is asking you to pause, all of them. None of these moments feel dramatic. They feel reasonable, responsible even. And that's why exhaustion accumulates silently. From the outside, your life might look stable. From the inside, your nervous system never fully rests. Because rest is not just the absence of activity. Rest is the absence of threat. And for many people, the threat isn't the word. It's the relationship with themselves. When your inner environment is full of expectations, evaluations, and quiet pressure, your body stays alert. Even when noticing is happening, even during free time, even in silence. This is why people feel more tired on weekends than during the day, during the week. The structure disappears, the distractions fade, and suddenly the fatigue surfaces. Not because you're weak, but because your system finally has a space to feel that, to feel what it's been carrying. There is a belief deeply ingrained in modern culture that tiredness means you are doing something wrong. That if you were aligned enough, healed enough, passionate enough, you would have endless energy. Wow. But is that true? But this is belief ignorance, something crucial. How much emotional labor many people are performing just to exist, holding back emotions that don't feel acceptable. Making yourself smaller to keep things smooth. Being easy for others, carrying responsibilities that were never spoken out loud. This kind of labor is invisible, and because it's invisible, it's rarely respected. Even by the person carrying it, and it's really funny, it's hilarious, even by that person. At some point, I noticed how often I was tired after doing nothing big, after conversations, after decisions making, after simply being around people. And I used to judge that. I told myself I should be stronger, more resilient, less affected. But the truth was simpler. I wasn't tired because life was demanding. I was tired because I was constantly bracing for expectations, bracing for being misunderstood, bracing for being perceived. That constant readiness drains energy. We must know that. And the body doesn't distinguish between physical and psychological effort. Effort is effort. Another overlooked source of exhaustion is self-separation. When you repeatedly don't say what you feel, when you minimize your needs, when you stay silent to keep the peace, each time the cost seems small. But over time, that cost becomes fatigue because you're never fully present. You're editing yourself, and self-editing is exhausting. What makes this tiredness even heavier is the guilt that often comes with it. Such a word like, I shouldn't be tired. Others have it worse. I should be grateful. So you push past it. But guilt doesn't create energy. It creates more tension. The body doesn't need to be convinced to rest. It needs permission. Permission to slow down without justification. Permission for feel without explaining. Permission to exist without constantly providing strength or balance. This is where many people misunderstand rest. They think rest is something you earn after doing enough. But real rest is not a reward. It's a requirement. And more importantly, rest is not just physical. You can lie down and still be internally working, be busy, replying conversations, planning, correcting yourself, judging yourself, overthinking. That's not rest. That's just horizontal effort. True rest begins when you stop managing yourself, when you stop rehearsing who you need to be, when you stop negotiating your worth, your productivity, your composure. This kind of rest can feel uncomfortable at first because when you stop holding yourself together, you might finally feel that what you have been holding back, sadness, anger, grief, uncertainty, these emotions are not a problem, they're signals. And signals don't need fixing, they need space. When you allow them without immediately reforming or solving, they move. And when they move, energy returns, not as excitement, but as steadiness, as presence, as a feeling that you don't have to fight your way through the day. If you're listening to this and you feel tired, even though you're trying, even though you care, even though you're responsible, there is nothing wrong with you. Your system might simply be asking for a different kind of attention. Not more effort, not more discipline, more honesty. Honesty about what drains you. Honesty about what you're tolerating. Honesty about where you're pushing against yourself. This kind of honesty doesn't require dramatic change. It starts with noticing when your body tightens, noticing when your breath becomes shallow, noticing when you're acting purely out of obligation. Each moment of noticing, reducing internal loud, and slowly, without focusing anything, energy begins to return. So please pay attention to this. You don't need to be less sensitive. You don't need to be extremely stronger. You don't need to fix your tiredness. You need to stop carrying what was never meant to be carried alone. And when you do, rest stops being something you chase. It becomes something you allow. If this episode resonates you, take a moment to sit with it, not to analyze it, but to feel what your body recognized. And if you'd like to explore more conversations about mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and conscious self-growth, subscribe to this channel and share this episode with someone who's been quietly caring too much. Until next time, be gentle with your energy. Thanks for watching and staying with me to the end. Any ideas, words, please comment me down below. I'd be glad to read all of them. See you in the next session.